canceling on you all week.
No, it's okay. I heard you weren't feeling well. It's okay.
Yeah. He's feeling better now, I think.
Yeah, I'm good. Totally good.
Nice.
Oh, here, I'll talk to you guys here.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. That's what happens when you're a doctor and you're curing the world. They infect you with pain.
I apparently also have trash cholesterol. So me and Gotti were very excited about this story today.
Yeah. Is it
My bad cholesterol's too high.
The injectable ones, but you just take it daily. I just don't know if insurance is going to cover it yet. But it's a phenomenal medicine.
Interesting.
Wait, this new one?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good one. It's the oral version of an injectable that's already been out for a long time, but it's now you don't have to inject yourself. You can just pop a pilly.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll get into the deets.
No Twitch. I think we're trying to get Twitch fired up. We're working on it. SML, hello. We're in 30 Rock. Hagati, I think rainstorm yesterday. Hong Kong. Okay, I'll check it out. Let's see. I feel like things are tense enough without a president. Storm. Peace Bucks. I think a lot of people feel where you're coming from. Let's see. Over the top crazy. Not sure what you're talking about, but it probably is. Suzanne. Oh my gosh, I will be sleeping. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the president's speech? It's going to happen right at the tippity end of our show. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We're going to be talking about the president's speech. We're going to be talking about cholesterol and diarrhea. And lettuce. And then we're going to be talking about SpaceX and this. Oh, shoot, I need to write some of that stuff. Hold on. Yeah, and it's so much more fun when you're in LA. Okay, and just over an hour ago.
Really, I love the set. This is like really beautiful.
Yeah, and they're only using it for this show right now.
Yeah. Now that I know you're gonna be here for 3 weeks, I'm just gonna pitch you stuff.
Yes, dude, every day, seriously, every single day. Watching. You know what I want to do? You know what I want to do with you, actually, if you don't mind? We should do the thing that like I keep seeing on TikTok all the time is like the Eastern Chinese like warm-ups. Like, oh, I lost 30 pounds by doing like, and they do like the lymphatic jumps. So they do jumps. They just do like little hops, and then they do these arm swings like this, and then they do like these flappy things, and then I think it's like one of these things. I'll send you some TikToks.
You know, the Today Show stole our segment.
Which one?
The social media trends.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, but.
So we did it, and like Craig Melvin's like, we need to make this.
Yes.
They didn't do that. Like, I like it here, but we react to it TikTok.
Yep.
They said because licensing on broadcast, they can't do it.
Oh, interesting.
But
Okay.
there's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. I'll send you that one. Let's do it soon. Thanks, man. See you in a sec. So we're now going on watching. Starship. Needles. Truth came. Launch. Let's go. So I'm not going to ruin the surprise until we get right to the sod, if that's okay.
NBC News, this is Mission Control Houston.
Station, this is Gotti Schwartz with NBC News. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. How do you hear us?
I hear you fantastic. Greeting from 30 Rock. What's out your window right now?
Are you kidding me?
It is the beautiful planet Earth. Just
Shut
it's
up.
a day
This is
pass, which
amazing.
means, we can see everything that's rotating by us, and I've been here for 2 days, and
Lise,
so
that
anytime I
is
look out there, I'm
career
just astounded
highlight. That's
by
awesome.
everything
That
I
is
see.
awesome.
The Artemis 2 mission has
on.
reignited so much wonder once again in
Bullshit
space.
King.
Does it feel that way up in the International Space Station?
We had the opportunity to have a spacecraft-to-spacecraft conversation with the Artemis 2 crew on their way back, on their translunar flight back from the moon to Earth. And that's super special, right? Humans don't often get the opportunity to have multiple spacecraft talking to each other, sharing the stories of the experiences that they saw, the similarities of the crew's experience from their time on the space station, and the things that they saw on Artemis 2 that, having had humans here on space station for 25 years, that they saw help that program grow and be the success that it is.
humans also don't get to just drop the mic and have it float in front of them perfectly. Artemis 4 is coming up, and either one of you could be chosen. Both of you could be spending a whole lot of time on the moon in the near future. What are your lunar dreams?
I love NASA's ambitions to just do the near impossible, to change our future, and to start a lunar base. I mean, I'm an emergency medicine doctor. I would absolutely like to work in a clinic there, keep people healthy, figure out how to practice medicine. And the cool thing is the space station is kind of a stepping stone to doing that. I'm only on day 2, but each day we kind of learn what it takes to take care of people, the ins and outs of daily life. And I think those skills are just directly applicable to something like a lunar base.
I also saw you talk a little bit about
Can
the
you guys hear
vastness
this?
of
Can you guys hear
that
what's happening here?
domain, and thank the Space Guardians. Was that
I don't know if
striking?
you guys can hear.
You're seeing more people fly to space. You're seeing more missions. It's like in the past.
So, if you guys are listening, the sound that you're listening to right now, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I think they're editing some stuff, and it might sound like we're talking to the International Space Station, because we were. We called up the International Space Station and we chatted with them for a little while today. It was as epic as you could imagine. Not only do we talk about science, like, growing crystals up there and what the lattice is going to look like under zero gravity. They were like, Anil, the newest astronaut up there, was like, yo, I just got up to the space station and I can do backflips. And he does a backflip. So I think we're going to show that. We're editing it all together. It's really, really cool. Big day in space. We had that interview. And then we just watched what happened with Starship. And I don't know if you guys watched that, but there it is on the pad, being a freaking giant of human, aerospace ingenuity, waiting to see if this was going to be the test that goes perfectly so that this thing can finally start doing some orbital, launches in the future. And then T minus 0 seconds, like the things ignite at the bottom. 4 or 5 engines, apparently. Those Raptor engines did not ignite. Everything shuts down. And the rocket doesn't blow up. It's fully stacked, loaded with propellant. You got methalox on there. You got all kinds of tons and tons and tons of flammable propellant. Everything in the abort seems like it went right. But obviously the launch did not happen. So, glass half full, they know how to do aborts. Glass half empty. Is that timeline for the moon still in play? I don't know. We're going to see. We got Steve Robinson going to help us out, legend from NASA. I don't know if you guys knew this, but Steve Robinson knows a thing or two about heat shields. I believe it was like Discovery. He was one of the specialists on Discovery. NASA astronaut went out of the space shuttle and fixed some damaged tiles, heat shields, out in space and saved the day. So we're going to be talking to him. It's going to be pretty cool. Land the space station on the moon, save the equipment. Peace Bucks, that's a really good idea, but the Delta V is all messed up. 2 minutes. It's not built for any sort of force on it, so it would probably crack into a bunch of pieces, and then you'd have potential Kessler effect. Look, I'm still trying to work out any sort of plausible, feasible mission to save the International Space Station, but I gotta say, the more you research it, the more you're like, math sucks. No giant fireball. That's right, Beast Bucks. Let's see. This is not the DC studio. This is the New York studio. Evie, keep us. We're good?
Yeah, we're coming up on a minute and a half.
All right. Smack me around if I don't get over there. Maybe dock it to a tower. Maybe dock what to a tower? The ISS? Did I find a microphone fix? Not yet. I think so, but I need to figure out a way to plug it in at the studio. I could probably figure that out later. Oh no, Mark Owen. Scooby? What are you talking about?
All right, we got a minute.
The feed is jacked up. Let's see. Guardian space. Do not please send me to space. Let's see. Okay. And again, we're going to be getting to all the politics right off the top.
All right,
So
45.
if you guys are looking for that, that's about to happen. Here we go. That's Evie calling us into position.
Let's get started.
Gonna hobble over there. What up, guys?
How you doing? Nice to see you. How you doing?
Great. All right, where do you want here?
45 seconds.
You're already.
It's 35 seconds now.
You already have my number. You already have my number. Can I stay here or on the line?
You're welcome.
Okay. Have a great show, everybody.
15 seconds to show. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 to the open. 4, 3, 2. Stand by.
Hey there, I'm Gary Schwartz, and as we wait for the president to address the nation, we start with major escalations in the Middle East, signaling that this conflict might be about to get a lot more explosive, a lot more controversial. Iranian state media is reporting air attacks on 2 bridges in the port city of Bandar Kashmir. One image taken from one of the bridges showing a section of it that looks like it's fully collapsed there. Another showing what appears to be the aftermath, dust, debris everywhere, a charred car. Iran says the attack killed 1 person, a driver who was on the bridge at the time. They're also claiming the U.S. hit some sort of communications tower in a nearby city, cutting off electricity in that area. We've not heard from the United States directly on those claims, but it comes after CENTCOM announced yet another wave of strikes against Iran, marking a 6th night in a row of these attacks. Iran has also been retaliating too. Several attacks reported throughout the Gulf today. All of it marking a rapidly intensifying situation in the Middle East. Iranian-backed militias in Iraq are saying that they are offering $10 million as a reward for the assassination of President Trump. Let's get straight out to NBC News military analyst Colonel Steve Warren. Colonel, thank you so much for being with us. We knew that the president was eyeing Iran's bridges as a target. He's been making those threats despite a lot of questions and concerns about international law and the rules of engagement. But what does this signal, and could something like this change things?
Well, Gotti, I think these strikes, I believe, are essentially punishment strikes, right? Because the Iranians signed a deal, and then they violated it by attacking some commercial shipping. And this is punishment, I think, for those violations, and maybe a little bit of frustration as well from the president's part. But I think specifically to the bridges and other things, it's a little controversial, but every bridge can be used for military purposes, right? And that's the cut line. Does this target have a military purpose behind it? And if you can drive missiles or drive drone resupplies or drive military resupplies across that bridge to some sort of military installation or to a strategic location, well, then it is, in fact, a legitimate military target.
And CENTCOM keeps saying that these strikes are to degrade Iran's military capabilities, to your point. Big question here, what is the military capability right now of Iran?
Yeah, they still have capability. Clearly, they've been firing missiles. The Iranians have been shooting drones and firing missiles at many of our military installations throughout that region. Very few of them, in fact, none of them have gotten through recently, but they do still have some capability. Now, we heard the President of the United States speaking on Meet the Press several weeks ago and indicate that the Iranians had lost up to 80% of their missile capability. However, we've also seen, I think, very credible reporting that the Iranians have only lost about 30% of their missile capability. So it's somewhere in between, probably about half of their missile capability. The problem is, Gotti, that's still a lot of missiles. So the bottom line, there still is a threat. They can still pose a threat to our forces in the region. They can pose a threat to our partners and friends in the region, and they can pose a threat to any of the commercial shipping in that Strait of Hormuz.
One of the weird things that happens on a day like today is you see, obviously a lot of talk about escalation. You see the escalation, but you also see, oddly enough, some restraint, right? These are two bridges. We know that there are many, many high-value targets that would possibly fall in the same category there. We don't see those struck. How do you reconcile like the escalation and the restraint on a day like today?
Sure, restrained escalation, right? I look at this as on your stove, putting it on medium-high or even medium, right? It's a low simmer. So I think the strategy now has become to make a deal for the Straits, right? We haven't heard much about those objectives that we talked about way back in March, right? The nuclear stuff and get rid of all their missiles and get rid of their Navy and get rid of their industrial base. We don't hear about that as much anymore from the White House or the Pentagon. What we hear about now is the Strait of Hormuz and making a deal. So I think the idea here is to punish them, to beat them up until they come to the table and make a deal, sort of beat them into submission. And I think that's the simmer. So if we not go too high to trigger anything worse, but kind of keep it at a low simmer until the Iranians do what we want.
Interesting. And again, there's going to be a lot of talk, a lot of controversy about this. This sends a message to Iran. This sends a message to many on Capitol Hill. And it also sends a message to the rest of the world, to people like our allies. How do you think our allies might see this?
Yeah, so I think our allies are watching closely. We've heard a lot of different things from a lot of different allies. Clearly the Pakistanis are doing everything they can to help us get to a deal here. In Europe, there has been a little bit of resistance. The Europeans initially had talked about standing up some sort of naval flotilla or armada to help clear those straits. We haven't seen that happen yet. So some talk, but not much action, right? So I think all of our allies are watching this very closely, and they're trying to determine how this is going to play out, because it affects them directly. And very interesting, if you look at the Chinese or the Russians, they're watching as well. The Russians haven't been involved in a very drawn-out conflict with a smaller nation, right? Ukraine is much smaller than Iran, and of course, the Chinese always have their eye on Taiwan. So there's a lot of learning going on.
Yeah, and in that particular theater, bridges have been decimated left and right. Colonel Steve Warren, really appreciate you stopping by tonight. Thank you so much. And turning now to the weather, I gotta say, out here in New York, as soon as you walk outside, the color of the sky, it feels off. It almost looks like the apocalyptic, if you will. And in some places, it was way worse. Morning was looking like night in cities across the Midwest and Northeast, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio. And it's all because of those fires that have been raging in Ontario for the past several weeks. Look at this boat escaping an incredible wall of smoke down at the bottom there. Could you imagine being on that boat? While our skies are ominous here in New York right now, their skies are alarmingly orange. There are over 800 active wildfires across Canada amid a scorching heat wave that has made the land way more fire prone. Ironically, that smoke from the fires has put heat in the back seat since it's covering the sun, but the trade-off, though, has been bad air, as you might have experienced if you live out here. This is the worst of the major cities for air quality right now. Number 1 is Minneapolis. Number 2 is Detroit, and number 3 is Chicago. Meanwhile, the rain has not stopped in Texas. The amount of rain at the Frio River near Uvalde has turned into another 1 in 1,000 year flood. Crews are racing to rescue people from their homes. This is a person getting hoisted up by a helicopter. And listen to this. One woman who runs an animal shelter just saw all of its pens washed away.
We've lost all of our enclosures. It's pouring rain. It's not stopping. I saved all the animals again. They're up here in our clinic. They're entirely drowned. But we have an ocean in our creek bed. It took everything again. I hate this. I'm so tired of this.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says at least 2 people have died in the floods so far, and the crest of the waves is even higher than last year when those floods killed over 130 people in that same area. We're going to get to Texas in just a moment, but first let's bring in NBC's Maggie Vespa, who is in a very smoky Chicago. Maggie, you know, again, you walk outside, we're seeing masks all over the place once more. It definitely feels like something is wrong. What's it like out there in Chicago?
Gotti, it's really bizarre. I mean, we've been through this right before, and you in California, you obviously know what this is like. I mean, it's just so thick, and you can see it behind me. Like, you can't even see the skyline of Chicago tonight. It's really strange. We're going to pan over here, too, and show you. This is the iconic River Walk in the middle of downtown. This is normally packed with people on a summer night. It is so dead right now. People are really heeding these warnings not to step outside. And I talked to people earlier, and they told me, you know, I came outside earlier today and my eyes hurt. Another kid said, I came outside and I immediately took really deep breaths because I felt like I wasn't getting enough oxygen. For us, we can taste it, we can feel it. My producer even said at one point, my stomach feels a little weird. I don't know if that's the smoke. It's just, it affects people in different ways. And then I think, as you know, it's just eerie. I mean, you look up, you can't escape it. And this is a really, really ominous sight, and it just reminds us that, you know, this is a problem that we're dealing with around the world. And even if the fires aren't happening where you are, it impacts millions of people elsewhere. Yeah, the size, scope, scale is hard to wrap your mind around. But on the train in today, people were talking about how they were getting headaches just from walking around outside. Where is the worst right now, and how should people protect themselves? Are we all going to need to arm ourselves with masks again? Ideally, officials say, yeah, if you can, have a mask, but that's if you go outside. The ultimate guidance is just to stay inside. The worst places in the world right now, the worst one is Chicago. We're number one right now. Detroit is number 2. The Midwest is really getting hit hard, and this is among major cities. New York is number 3, and then we just checked, and this will shock no one, Toronto, Canada is number 4. So you really talk about the Midwest, the Northeast, and then the part of Canada where these wildfires are just raging. All of us are really socked in with this smoke. So yeah, officials are asking people to heed this guidance, masks, but more than anything, just don't go outside. I mean, really, if you don't have to, which we know is tough for a lot of people, but it's rough out here. And again, in California, out in California, people are used to seeing fires all the time. Canada, it seems as though that is now California and Canada. Yeah, there are fires burning. Is that a trend, or are we going to see more of that? It does seem like we are. And again, for someone like you who's covered this extensively and you've seen how this has developed and evolved in California, this won't shock you. We were just kind of digging into the data, particularly around wildfire smoke, right? Because you're talking about a lot of areas where fires actually burn, but the smoke wafts. And it impacts areas that don't see fires. People here in Chicago don't see wildfires. We don't worry about this. And there was a study recently looking at the data of wildfire smoke exposure. It was more than 3 times as bad in the 4 years between 2020 and 2024 as it was like the half-decade prior. So it's getting markedly worse. And for people with breathing problems, I know, people with breathing problems, that's obviously dire. Even for those without, though, Gotti, this can really impact them. So it's really alarm bells all around this issue. Yeah, it sure has. Maggie Vespa out there in Chicago. Please get inside soon. Thanks for being out there, and sorry for making you stand out in all that smoke. And let's now get over to NBC's Ryan Chandler, who is in Uvalde, Texas. Ryan, I hope you're staying safe. Have we been seeing anything in terms of rescues where you are?
Oh, absolutely, Gotti. We've seen helicopters flying around Uvalde, all around the county all day. As you see, the rain still is coming down in dramatic bursts. The danger is still not over, and we're learning more tragic details late tonight. The latest numbers from the state show a more tragic scope of this tragedy. We now know that 2 people have died, one person in Comfort and another woman here in Uvalde who was trapped in her car last night. In addition to that, more than 200 people have had to be rescued, many of them, Gotti, as you allude to, from the air as they're trapped in their neighborhoods, unable to escape, sometimes even trapped in their homes, hoisted up into helicopters to safety, Gotti.
And these floods are getting a lot of comparisons to last year's deadly floods. Are people worried that this is going to be a yearly occurrence now?
Well, we're in a region called Flash Flood Alley. But there is a difference between a flash flood and what happened on the 4th of July of last year. That, until today, was an unfathomable, unprecedented disaster. The river rose to a level that was thought to be impossible. It was a 1,000-year flood event, and now 54 weeks later, it's happened again. 2 1,000-year events in essentially 1 year. It is hard to understate the level of heartbreak and shock that so many Texans went through when they woke up this morning and saw that urgent alert along the Guadalupe River, warning that this could be as bad as last year. Fortunately, even though the water rose higher in some places than even last year, there were far, far fewer deaths. Gotti.
Wow. And we're seeing so many images of these very remarkable rescues. It looks like there's a little kid wearing some sort of snorkel mask. Do you know about what happened there?
I have seen, that was one of my favorite videos of the week. Wasn't that cute? The Texas game wardens rescued this kid from what appears to be his home, and he was ready for a swim, right? He had the goggles and a snorkel on, his little life vest. Not a good idea to swim in these waters, but he had a great attitude about him, high-fiving the game warden there. So that was one inspiring piece of this, on top of so many other rescues that these heroic state troopers and game wardens have been performing all across the state.
Yeah, Godspeed to those rescuers. Thank you so very much, Ryan. And less than 1 hour from now, President Trump is going to address the nation. And right now, the White House is keeping the big primetime speech relatively hush-hush, but he's expected to talk, at least in part, about the 2020 election, which is not really a new subject for the president. But tonight, a bunch of Republican senators seem to be warning against him picking political fights. Take a listen.
So I think the more productive conversation would be speaking to the American people with an objective plan of how do we actually address your kitchen table issue? How do you pay your bills? I mean, my gosh, the cost of living has gone up. So I try to meet people where they are, and I think that's where they are.
He's got the podium, he's got the microphone tonight, and it's up to him as to how he wants to use it, if he wants to inspire folks or if he wants to inflame folks, and we'll see which direction he goes.
Now let's go to NBC Chief White House Correspondent Garrett Haake in Washington. Okay, Garrett, that's T minus 45-ish minutes. Where do things stand? Should we expect a rehashing of the election? Is there something new that he's going to talk about there, or are we going to hear about Iran, the economy, like the cost of living? There's so much that's happening in the background. What's the word there on the lawn?
Well, Gotti, the overarching topic won't be new, but the White House insists that the president will make news and provide new data to largely support his claims about American elections being insecure and the 2020 election being meddled with in some way. The White House press secretary today indicated that this would involve declassified information. Our own reporting is that information will, the White House will cast that information as showing that some foreign nation meddled in a previous election. There's been no evidence presented to back that up here to date. And one Republican senator who said he was briefed by the White House a short time ago about the speech indicated that nation may be China. So we're putting the puzzle pieces together here in real time. Now, the White House says that the president may also touch on some of the other big topics of the news of day, the economy, the war in Iran. It's easy to see why some of those Republican lawmakers want that to be what the president talks about, because the polling and the data is clear that those are issues that the American people care about more than about the idea of election security. But this is something that has long really obsessed the president going back to 2020. He has a piece of legislation in front of Congress right now that he believes can solve it. He's going to push as hard as he can on this tonight.
And that piece of legislation, I mean, it's something that we hear again and again. The SAVE Act, the Save America Act before the November midterms, just quickly remind us what that's about, and is there any chance of that actually passing through Congress?
Yeah, look, the core of the Save America Act, as it's been more recently rebranded, it requires proof of citizenship both to register to vote and when you actually vote, the idea being to prevent non-citizens from voting, something that is incredibly uncommon across the country. It's a federal overhaul, essentially federal rules on elections, which, as we all know, are run by state and local municipalities. Right now, it doesn't have the votes. It doesn't have the 60 it needs in the Senate. Probably doesn't even have 50 in the Senate. And the solution that Republicans have had for that is to try to basically put pieces of it in other bills, something that J.D. Vance suggested he's hopeful might work. Listen to the vice president here.
The way you save America is by bringing election integrity. It's something that matters. It's a shame that the Democrats aren't going to help us get this done, given that a majority of Democrat voters actually want us to have election integrity in this country. But we've got a good piece of legislation to support the troops, support the farmers, and get Save America Act passed. This, of course, is the first step, but it's an important step. We're going to take it together.
Gotti, as a retired Capitol Hill correspondent, but something of a hobbyist, I can tell you that it does not appear at all like the votes are there or are available to the president to get this passed or to get it implemented, even if they did so in time to affect the midterms just a few months from now.
As a hobbyist, huh? Before I let you go, I do want to talk about somebody else's hobby, I guess you could call it. It seems as though the teleprompter guy for the president was making some big bucks on Kalshi, or at least there are reports suggesting that's the case, and it seems like there are now some confirmations. What are we hearing?
Yeah, the White House confirmed today that they have placed the president's longtime teleprompter operator on unpaid leave while he's being investigated by the CFTC amid allegations that he made something like $90,000 placing bets on that prediction market platform, Kalshi. These would be bets on individual words or phrases that might appear in a presidential speech, something that he would have pretty clear advance access to potentially game the system. Kalshi says they first became aware of the possibility of this in March. They watched it, ultimately flagged federal authorities. This topic, Gotti, kind of took over the briefing today. Here was the press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, asked about this moment and the president's response to it.
He believes it's deeply unfortunate and frankly a disgrace, and the individual that was cited in that report is complying with the CFTC but has been put on paid administrative leave. The White House has extremely strict ethical guidelines with respect to issues like this.
Now, the White House says its ethics rules prevent this kind of, gaming the system here, basically, and anyone who breaks those rules will be punished. Interestingly enough, Gotti, one question that came up during the briefing, if you try to access one of those prediction markets on the Wi-Fi here at the White House that we have access to in public, it's blocked. But the press secretary wasn't able to answer the question of whether it would be blocked internally on the White House's own Wi-Fi system or not. So we'll have to keep digging there to see exactly how stringent those safeguards are.
Very, very interesting. NBC's Garrett Hake. Garrett, we'll be checking with you in just a little while. Thank you so very much. And don't go anywhere. Coming up next, you know that parasitic outbreak that's turning thousands and thousands of stomachs upside down? Well, the FDA is investigating a supplier of iceberg lettuce now, what we're learning about that. Plus a very, very long distance call. We are catching up with astronauts on board the International Space Station. Stay tuned. And also, if you see this QR code, guess what? You can pull out your phone and you can hold it right there on that little weird square thing, and it should just pop up with a chat. You can chat with us all hour long on YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch. Come join us.
That was you
guys. Is it a round QR code? I thought it was a square. Whoa, look, NBC News is in YouTube.
We're having fun, thanks.
All right. Akshay's back.
Hey, guys.
There we go.
All right, just like we're in LA again.
Yes, just like home. Just like good old West Coast. Wait, where did my scripts go? Oh no, they closed.
You can hear it. See, I wasn't making it up. You can hear it.
Fired his defense minister. Okay. Like Welly. What? Did you know they found a new monkey species of monkey? Yeah.
Please don't ask me to comment on that. That won't go well for anyone.
And then how do you say it? It's
Sporiasis.
Cyclo.
Spore, like spore. Cyclosporiasis.
Source of that. Paris.
10 seconds, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds, 4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. Here are some other headlines we are watching tonight. Cleanup continues in Los Angeles after a water main break in West Hollywood this morning. It flooded the famed Sunset Strip. Look at all that water everywhere. That opened up a massive sinkhole. The utility company says the break happened to a section of pipe that was installed 110 years ago. And the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation live streamed this explosive demolition of a bridge in Pittsburgh today. That blast left nothing behind but a cloud of dust and a pile of rubble. It's part of an ongoing project to replace the 75-year-old bridge. And that was the sound of a Blue Angels flyover, a really, really low flyover at a crowded beach in Florida yesterday, sending people scrambling, umbrellas and chairs flying through the air. But after a review of the incident, the Navy is saying that the pilot will not face any discipline. And today, thousands of Ukrainians took to the streets in protest after President Zelensky fired its defense minister. The 35-year-old was popular for spearheading the country's drone technology against Russia. Zelensky says the government reshuffle was due to friction between the minister and the traditional military establishment. And scientists have discovered a new species of monkey in the DR Congo forest. This is known by locals as Likweli, a small black monkey. If you look close enough, you can see he's got orange lips, a deep, croaky roar. This is the 5th new monkey species identified in Africa in the last 75 years. And we are following two major health stories today. Just hours ago, the FDA announced it is investigating iceberg lettuce supplied to Taco Bell by Taylor Farms as a possible source of that parasitic outbreak in 4 Midwestern states. Taco Bell now says they are voluntarily removing the impacted lettuce from that supplier in some states. Remember that stomach infection can cause weeks of severe diarrhea, among other symptoms, and nearly 7,000 cases so far that we know of have been reported nationwide. And earlier today, the FDA approved a new daily pill to lower cholesterol. This drug gives millions of people another treatment option. Clinical trials show it can cut LDL, the bad cholesterol, by about 60%. That brings cholesterol levels down even further than statins, the medication already on the market. Patients can get the pill for about $10 a day before insurance. Joining us now to talk about all of this is Dr. Akshay Syal. Dr. Syal, first of all, the explosive situation first. The lettuce, we now know, and this has been a problem to track it down because symptoms take so long, but what do we know about this lettuce?
So, Gotti, for people who haven't been following this closely, the explosive diarrhea headlines, they're linked to something called cyclosporiasis. It's a parasitic infection that, once you consume it, up to 1 to 2 weeks later, you can get explosive diarrhea, you can get bloating, gassiness, sort of abdominal pain in the area. I mean, what made this difficult to pinpoint the source, Scotty, was that what I mentioned about it taking 1 to 2 weeks afterwards, something called the incubation period. It can be hard to sort of retroactively or look back at what people ate and try to find common ground. But today we found out that a supplier called Taylor Farms, which has been supplying lettuce to Taco Bell, specifically Michigan is the one where we've seen over 4,000 cases, maybe the culprit here. Maybe it's sort of linked to all of these 7,000 cases, I think it is now, and 100 people hospitalized. We may finally have a reason for what's going on.
7,000 cases, and do you think that that's all of the cases that are out there, or is that just a base number? A lot of people are just staying home and maybe not reporting?
Great question. I don't think it's the final number. I think over the next several days and even longer, we're going to see more cases come up because now that they've finally identified a source, remember, people who are getting sick today may have eaten this 1 to 2 weeks ago. So it can take time to see, residual cases, and we want to make sure that, was there another outbreak somewhere else or another source somewhere else, or was it all just this one thing? We're going to wait for public health authorities to comment further. But for everybody out there now, who's having explosive diarrhea or any sort of diarrhea that won't go away, this is a very treatable illness. It's something we can test for. We can treat you. It's an antibiotic called Bactrim that we typically give. So please talk to your doctor if you're having those symptoms and you haven't been checked out.
And turning now to this, the cholesterol thing. I know, we're friends, and I've been complaining to you about my trash cholesterol for a very long time. And it's the LDL one that I didn't know anything about until you educated me. What does this medication do? Is it good?
It's really exciting. So this is a drug called Libfendra. It's from Merck, the pharmaceutical company, and it's an oral PCSK9 inhibitor. So that's when we talk about cholesterol, I think a lot of people have heard the drugs called statins. Statins are very cheap, they're affordable, and they work really, really well. But the problem is, and I have this in a lot of my patients too, is when you start them on statins, they can get leg pain or other sort of side effects, and they don't want to take statins anymore. So there's another drug out there called Repatha. It's a PCSK9, but it's an injectable. So it's a little pen that you take every 2 weeks and you inject the medication. Not everybody wants to take an injectable. So this is an oral version of the drug that's already out there, but it is still very exciting and another option for people who can't take statins or who don't want to take statins.
And you know, if I might have this completely wrong, but like the natural way to do this, I think I remember maybe you or somebody else being like, you need to eat more lettuce. You need to eat more greens. Is that?
Yeah, it's diet's low in saturated fat. It's getting cardiovascular exercise. But you know, there's a group of people, Gotti, who do everything right, but sometimes they're genetically predisposed to have high cholesterol. In which case, you know, people get frustrated. You know, I run marathons, I run triathlons, but my cholesterol's still high. What gives? And sometimes people have to be started on medications despite doing everything right. You know, heart disease is a preventable illness. It is something that if you go get tested, we can treat you for it. So please talk to your doctor. Get your cholesterol screened. About 1 in 4 people have high cholesterol. We want to bring that number down.
Yeah. And for those personality types to see them failing on their blood work, they're like, hey, what's going on?
Well, then I get an invite to Korean barbecue. It all just makes sense.
Dr. Akshay, thank you so very much. We'll see you at Korean barbecue. And coming up in the future of everything, catching up with some friends in a place that is out of this world, the International Space Station, what they are saying about working up in the cosmos and beyond. All right.
Great.
He's the best.
Thank you.
He's the best.
Everyone.
All right. Yeah, let's hang soon.
Cool.
Okay.
I'm just going to keep pitching.
Okay. Yes, let's every day. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Take care, brother. Okay.
I put eyes on it.
Philosaphin. That's an explosive question, and I don't know. Let's see. Bum. Campbell Corn Lab. Yeah. New monkey species. I didn't. All good. No worries.
Under a minute?
No worries. If I'm yelling, it's because you changed the caps, but I'm fine. Evie laughed. Campbell Corn, get your cholesterol under control. You get your cholesterol under control. Yeah, I think he said 1 in 4, so that's 2 of us. Blaming your parents. I know, you are a CrossFitter. The fact that you have, yeah. They shouldn't call it bad cholesterol. It makes me feel judged.
10, 9, 8.
It's true.
7,
Okay,
6,
there you go. Let's talk space, guys.
4, 3.
Hey, welcome back. Just over an hour ago, we were all watching the SpaceX Starship launch, and we were watching it on pins and needles. The moment of truth came. It looked like a launch was a go, and then this happened.
Raptor engine ignition, and we have a hold and abort.
I mean, that was a very powerful poof and then dissipation. That last minute abort scrub during engine ignition, and luckily the Starship rocket, it stayed there. Stayed safely on the pad, did not blow up. Sounds like some of those new engines failed to light, triggering that abort. They're hoping to troubleshoot and retry in the next week or so. This mission was set to carry 20 next-generation Starlink internet satellites into space, and the stakes are very high for SpaceX right now. NASA was planning to use this rocket to send astronauts back to the moon. Let's bring in former NASA astronaut Steve Robinson. Steve, always a pleasure to see you. I gotta say, at least it didn't blow up here. What should we be taking from this?
Right. Well, there is really good news. The safety protocols that they have in place there, the automatic shutdown, if something doesn't happen correctly, they worked. And what didn't happen correctly, as far as I can tell, some engines didn't start. Now that is a very serious problem. This is the rocket. The rocket engines need to light, and they need to relight. After they're in space for some of the maneuvers. This has been a problem, and this needs to stop being a problem.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the glass half empty here, how much does this set us back from getting to the moon with that very aggressive timeline?
I don't think it sets us back too much in the sense that they're really good at recycling quickly, but if there's a problem that hasn't been found yet, that's going to be a big concern to everybody. And if it's 4 engines that didn't start, if those are 4 separate problems, that's a lot worse than if it's a single problem that they find, can fix, and go, okay, we're never going to see that again. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
And we're going to see what happens possibly in a matter of days, which, again, is pretty wild when you think about that. Steve Robinson, thank you so very much. And from one astronaut legend to 2 more, it is not every day that you get to make a very long-distance call to the International Space Station, routed through NASA's Capcom in mission control, by the way. I mean, that's what we did today. Obviously, a very big deal for our team as we checked in with the station's newest astronaut, Anil Menon, and Jack Hathaway, who I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive they invited me to be on their team for the Lunar World Cup. I'm not 100% sure because I kind of blacked out. Such a career highlight. It was a blur, but here's our conversation, so let's watch.
NBC News, this is Mission Control Houston.
Station, this is Gotti Schwartz with NBC News. How do you hear me?
We hear you loud and clear. How do you hear us?
I hear you fantastic. Greeting from 30 Rock. What's out your window right now?
It is the beautiful planet Earth. Just it's a day pass, which means we can see everything that's rotating by us. And I've been here for 2 days, and so anytime I look out there, I'm just astounded by everything I see.
The Artemis 2 mission has reignited so much wonder once again in space. Does it feel that way up in the International Space Station?
We had the opportunity to have a spacecraft-to-spacecraft conversation with the Artemis 2 crew on their way back on their translunar flight back from the moon to Earth. And that's super special, right? Humans don't often get the opportunity to have multiple spacecraft talking to each other, sharing the stories of the experiences that they saw, the similarities of the crew's experience from their time on the space station, and the things that they saw on Artemis 2 that, having had humans here on space station for 25 years, that they saw help that program grow and be the success that it is.
Yeah. Humans also don't get to just drop the mic and have it float in front of them perfectly. Artemis 4 is coming up, and either one of you could be chosen. Both of you could be spending a whole lot of time on the moon in the near future. What are your lunar dreams?
I love NASA's ambitions to just do the near impossible, to change our future, and to start a lunar base. I mean, I'm an emergency medicine doctor. I would absolutely like to work in a clinic there, keep people healthy, figure out how to practice medicine. And the cool thing is the space station is kind of a stepping stone to doing that. I'm only on day 2, but each day we kind of learn what it takes to take care of people, the ins and outs of daily life. And I think those skills are just directly applicable to something like a lunar base.
I also saw you talk a little bit about the vastness of that domain and thank the Space Guardians. Was that striking?
You're seeing more people fly to space. You're seeing more missions. Like in the past year and in the coming years, it's going to accelerate so fast. And it's lucky that as a country, we're positioned to be there to support it and to keep it open and accessible to everybody. And so I think one of the most important jobs will be for those guardians and the future ones that are thinking about it. I can't think of anything more exciting. So that's why I would love sharing this with people and try to encourage anyone who wants to do that.
You've only been up there for day 2, but what kind of shenanigans happen behind the scenes?
So far, they're drawing a lot of joy out of watching me crash into things. It's kind of like being a toddler, and you're learning to get around a little bit. Sometimes you go too fast and you hit some valuable cameras or things like that. They try to keep it safe, but there is a learning curve to operating in microgravity. In fact, we discussed whether or not we should try to do a backflip here, but Jack was a little bit worried that I hadn't hit Simone Biles level dexterity, but maybe the next interview.
Wait, hold up. Now, next interview, you got the microphone doing backflips. I believe in you. You made it all the way up there. I think it's possible. Let's see. That Simone Biles has never done that. And she is The GOAT. That was Olympic level backflipping. First time you could have crashed. I mean, you got the suits right there next to you. Very valuable stuff. A 10 out of 10. Thank you so much. It's so interesting to talk to you because, I mean, you have a background in medicine. I know a lot of the experiments that you've taken up there are going to be studying the effects of the vascular system and how the human body interacts with space. We've been going up to space for quite some time. How do we not understand all of this?
I think it's just so new, and we haven't sent enough people up. There's been somewhere on the order of 600 or to 700 people who have flown to space. We've learned so much about medicine on Earth over millions, hundreds of millions of people over time have built knowledge. 600's not that much to learn these things. So we're discovering new diseases, and just like Guardians out there, I encourage anyone who's interested in space medicine or medicine to think about it, because there's no field like this where you can just learn a completely new disease process. So it's super interesting from that perspective. And just today we did a really cool experiment where we took water and we turned it into IV fluid. I was doing that with the astronaut Jessica Meir here. And so we're just developing new skills out here, these skills that are going to apply to things that we're going to do in the future.
The more that we can figure out here on the space station, the more science and technology development that we do here, the better off we're going to be when we go to the moon and we go to Mars and beyond.
I do want to ask, I know you guys had that scare up on the International Space Station with the leak. There was the evacuation to a Crew Dragon. How do situations like that work?
It wasn't a normal day, certainly, as we went through that, but also it felt very calm. It was very, we went through the steps of the procedure methodically. We had incredible support from the ground and our colleagues up here as well. And we just worked through the problem until we got to a satisfying solution. And by the end of the day, we were back to work doing our normal science. So I would say that everything kind of worked as advertised, and the teams performed pretty well.
I imagine the first night in space, at least for myself, knowing the threat of things like micrometeors or something unexpected. And like, how did your first night of sleep go on the ISS?
It was actually pretty good. When I got up here, it was in the evening. Closing in, I saw a space station, and we spent so many years studying it, and to see it glinting in the sunlight, reflecting back at us, it was just so beautifully complex and amazing. I think I was more marveling at what a monument to what we were able to achieve together. More so than thinking about some of the potential problems that could happen. I think we put a lot of trust in each other to just get this incredibly difficult job done. And so that helps me sleep well at night, plus being a little bit tired from a pretty long day.
At NASA, it's such an interesting time. I mean, you've got the old school, the fact that you went up on a Soyuz rocket. You've got the training that you're doing on Crew Dragons, and then possibly beyond with Starship, with possibly a lunar lander from Blue Origin. Is it difficult to have one foot in the old legacy technology that is tried and true, and then another foot in engineering that is happening in real time?
When we talk about the different technologies, we're really talking about the people that have put all this technology together and engineering solutions as well. And the time that we spent at Hawthorne working with SpaceX, training on Crew Dragon, those people are so excited and so motivated, and they love what they do. And that type of stuff is infectious and exciting to be part of.
There are very few things on planet Earth that bring us all together. Space is one of them. Seems like the World Cup right now is the other. Are those worlds colliding up there on the International Space Station?
Absolutely. We were watching both of them, and I'm following them pretty intently. And Jack's been working on his skills, and he's looking for a bid in maybe 4 years from now if someone sees his highlight reel.
Fellas, thank you so very much. Houston, thank you. This has been, a bucket list thing for me. I can't tell you how much it's meant to us and the entire team. Godspeed up there. We love looking up, knowing that you guys are circling above every single moment of every single day.
Thanks for those kind words. We're really proud to represent humanity up here as we take our next step to the moon and beyond.
Remember, every 90 minutes, they are up there, just flying by. Coming up, we are moments away from a prime-time address from President Trump. We've got an all-star team from D.C. joining us with what to expect. But first, you got to see this. This high school football team from the University of Christian Athletics made a surprise visit to their coach, who is battling cancer. Coach Thomas went to the school himself and even coached his sons there. The entire team running through the streets of their city before summer conditioning to show their support. We'll be right back. That was a phenomenal interview. Phenomenal. PJ for the win.
Thank you, PJ. That was awesome. Awesome. PJ edited that. Okay, got it.
90 seconds.
Where is it? Wait, where is that? I don't see it.
One minute. $30. $15.
Okay, we're going to Dan
10
first.
seconds.
All right,
9,
10 seconds.
8,
Sorry, guys.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
And we're just minutes away from hearing the president address the nation. We don't fully know what he's planning to talk about, except the vague references he's made so far to election security. But maybe our all-star panel has some thoughts. Hallie Jackson, NBC News senior Washington correspondent. Dan DeLuce, NBC International Intelligence reporter. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC's Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent. Ryan Nobles, NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent. Thank you all for being here with us tonight. Dan, first off, there's been so much litigation from the 2020 election so far. At this point, what new ground is there to explore?
This is a very old subject, and it's been litigated and reviewed and pored over now. So the 2020 election was the subject of a very comprehensive intelligence assessment that concluded that no foreign government, no foreign actor manipulated or breached voting systems or changed votes. Russia and China did try to influence the atmosphere around the election. Russia tried to use propaganda and disinformation, according to intelligence agencies, to try to boost Trump's chances and undermine Biden. China, there's a debate about whether they were trying to help Trump or Biden, or whether they just were trying to undermine democracy generally. But in the end, there's been an enormous amount of agreement and consensus that no foreign government affected our voting systems, our ballot counting, dating back to 2016 and including midterms since then.
And Kelly, could the president be foreseeing a loss in November here in either chamber of Congress, and this possibly being a way of either changing the story or maybe sowing doubt in the future results?
Well, one of the things that we know about Donald Trump is that he often gives himself a rhetorical buffer, talking about the potential for elections to be rigged. He's done that a number of times in his time on the political national landscape. So that would not be a surprise. Then you consider the data that suggests that Republicans are facing serious headwinds for the midterms. Therefore, the president would recognize that if he were to lose control of Congress, which is something that during his governing time he has enjoyed the benefit of having his own party in charge, that would be a real difference for the final 2 years of his time in office. And since he cannot, by the Constitution, run for a third term, he's got a limited window to get more done. So could that be part of his thinking? Well, we'd have to get into the mind of the president to do that, and that's difficult. But it is abundantly clear by his public statements and by the data that exists about the elections themselves, meaning the midterm elections to come, that he could have those concerns. What he is talking about here is also a way to address the issue that seems to be just impossible to go away for Donald Trump, and that is his belief that he actually won in 2020 when all of the data, all of the recounts, all of the legal process indicates that he did not. And he continues to try to push that storyline narrative that is false based on all the reporting and information and data that we have, including from those within his own government at that time. And so the president has an insatiable need, it appears, to try to answer that question again, even though it's 2026 and 2020 is in the rearview mirror. Many Republicans would like him to focus on now and the future to better prepare them for the midterms that you referenced, Gotti.
And Hallie, speaking of those Republicans that don't want to see him go down this path, we've got Iran looming in the background. We've got gas prices still very high here in the United States. Is bringing up the election right now a signal to his base, or is this out of touch?
You know, it depends on who you ask, right? Gotti, at this point, we know that there has been some consternation, even on the part of some Republicans, about the messaging at this particular moment, months before the midterms. We know what voters care about, Gotti, consistently over and over again, election after election, and that is things like their money, their budgets, the economy. That, by all reporting that we have so far, is not going to be the focus of President Trump's speech tonight, as we have been addressing here around the table in Washington. There's also, as you mentioned, the war against Iran, extremely active, even with new strikes as recently as merely hours ago. We understand from the White House that the president may touch on that briefly at the top of his remarks, according to what the press secretary said today. But again, not expected to be the focus. So I think there's a real question now on the timing of this speech. Why now? Why this moment? Just several months before the midterms. And the concern raised by some of the president's critics, including at least one Republican, that he is looking to plant the seeds of doubt ahead of the midterms. And then as we look ahead of 2028 as well.
Interesting. And one of the things that's always seeming to be at least whispered in the background is questions over Epstein. We had Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. He met with Epstein survivors, I believe, for the first time, right? After months and months of requests. What can you tell us about how that meeting went?
Talk about late breaking news late today, Gotti. And let's just kind of put press enter a couple of times in the keyboard, separate from the topic of tonight's speech, right? So this is a separate thing that is obviously, we don't expect any of this to come up tonight. But if you're talking about other developing news here in Washington, the Attorney General, the acting Attorney General, seeking to become the next Attorney General, having that meeting very late today with a small group of Epstein abuse survivors and some family members. We understand it was about a half dozen survivors in all, 6 to 8, along with some attorneys who joined as well. And I will tell you that Blanche himself said it wasn't necessarily always cordial. He said he, listened to what they had to say. There were others in the room as well. It was described to me by one survivor, Danny Bensky, who was on with us a little bit earlier, Gotti, very, I think she was emotional, and she talked about how emotional that meeting was, how frustrated she felt that, in her words, this was a check-the-box exercise by Blanche. What does that mean? Keep in mind what happened earlier today. Republican Senator Tom Tillis on the Judiciary Committee said he would only vote for Blanche if he, in fact, met with survivors. And that is obviously what happened today, Gotti.
Yeah, a very emotional interview indeed. Hallie, Dan, Kelly, Ryan, thank you so much. That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Gotti Schwartz. Stay tuned for an NBC News special report, President Trump's address to the nation, right after this quick break. Okay, that's a wrap for now. We're going to go watch the president's speech. I hope you guys tune in to NBC News now. Just keep streaming here, or you go to watch it on the television, whatever you guys want to do. But I'm going to go watch and see what the president says. Thank you guys so very much for watching. We'll need to send Gotti to astronaut training camp. Yes, space camp, please. William, were you really a manager at SpaceX? That's news to me. I did not know that. Yes, for sure. Boston. We will do a lot of journalism up there. Anyway, see you. Let's do See You Monday. Let's do a See You Monday, because I think I'm going to take tomorrow off for the little children. But yes, see you Monday, and stay tuned. All right.